Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Dinesh.
Um, okay, let's wait for one more minute. We'll slowly get started. Okay, by the time any questions, anyone who have downloaded Power BI, you have just started. I've shared the data sets also. Um, Along with the recordings, you get that options, right? So there you will have an option called as Power BI data sets, which you can download. So let me show that.
Where it will be in the lesson? If I go to lessons, it will be there.
Yeah, just a moment. I'll show it to you. I'm trying to log in and I'll let you know how it works.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning. So just give me a second. I would and let me know once you're able to see the screen right once. It will take some seconds to load. Okay. Let me know once you're able to see.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So how to download the files which I've shared is, I mean, you have to click on sign in anyways, you have to log in, all that process we already seen. So for the one who doesn't have an account, create an account and try to log in with your personal email IDs, whatever email IDs you have mentioned. Go to that specific course. So in that course, we have the lessons option, right? So in the lessons option towards left, you see some content. Now, there are folders, course curriculum and SQL free sessions. This is a folder. You can, this is all maximized or this is all expanded. You can minimize it or you can collapse it, right? So there are different, even for SQL components. I mean, this is for people who have joined with SQL, how to install the SQL workbench and all that processes is mentioned in this PPT. You have this new option which was not available yesterday, but yeah, I mean, I've definitely added once we completed yesterday's session, right? So you can go back, open or expand this. So you have two data sets, electronic store and superstore. So if you click on superstore, this is how it would be. So there won't be any preview available. I mean, for some of the PDF, you can see that preview directly available here, right? So for few components, preview is not directly available. No preview available, please download the file. That means you have to download this. So the file which I am sharing, or almost mostly, will try to share compressed files from the dataset point of view. Compressed in the sense it's a zip file. So if the file size is of 10 MB also, if I zip it, it would be somewhere around 2 MB, 3 MB. Almost 70% reduction of the data, the occupancy, right? What that file occupies. So it would help us to load the files, more number of files with the less storage. So that's the reason I always share the zip files. So you can download both the zip files and you can unzip it in your local systems, right? And you can connect it with your Power BI. So this is how you can download the content which I'm trying to share. I mean, I'll be sharing many other data sets, many other files also. Um, Now, if you want to check the class records, you can go back to this class records, and this is where you can see the last three sessions. So today is the fourth session. It is still live. So once this is completed, again, you will get this view recording option post 1 hour of completion. Okay. So yesterday, if you see, I didn't added any topics in the yesterday's session. So once I added, it would be visible. So I'll be adding both yesterday's and today's session together. Cool. Let's see. Okay, still by the time. Let us start opening the Power BI. So just give me a moment. Okay, let's start with the Power BI, which I have in my system. Now, I hope that people who had that issue of visualization pane coming into the ribbon bar, that issue is sorted with that option which we have discussed yesterday, right? In the options and settings, file, options and settings, and preview features in the global options. You can uncheck that on object interaction. So that would help you to get that visualization pane separately towards the right. So still, the question is same. Is there anyone who is still facing that same issue that your visualization pane is not towards right? It is coming in the above ribbon bar. Okay, so it seems no one has that issue again. So let's continue. See, the thing is, if I open this Power BI desktop, the file, new file which I've opened. Now, yesterday we practiced some visuals, right? We practiced some visuals. So, I mean, where are that visuals? So, whatever you are practicing, whatever visuals, whatever data, I mean, that there's no data also, right? If you see, because I've opened a very fresh file. So how do we get that continuity of visuals, what we practiced? The file which we opened, or the file, the Power BI which we have opened yesterday and even today now, this is all unsaved information. Right? You can see there is some called as, I mean, the above option, there is some mentioning that it is untitled Power BI desktop. Untitled in the sense we didn't saved it or we didn't given any specific name to it. That's the reason it is untitled. I mean, we haven't given any specific name to it. That's the reason it is untitled. So whenever you're practicing something, all your keyboard options, right? How to save a particular file using keyboard options? It is your Control plus S. If you mention Control plus S, see, it would directly give you an option. It would open a new window. Where do you want to save this file and what should be the file name? Now, all the Power BI files has a certain extension. Like PDF, we have PDF.pdf. For a Word file, that is DOC or DOCX, right? So for Excel file, it is XLSX, right? So for all the files, there is a certain extension. Similarly, for the Power BI desktop, what you're working on, or you're working on certain visualization, you're working on certain report building, all that file gets stored in terms of .pbix. Now, what is it? We'll try to discuss it in the further sessions, but the extension for Power BI files, it's .pbix. And it will ask you, where do you want to store? Now, I mean, here I cannot guess, right? Where can I exactly store? So you have this option towards below, which is more options. So if you want to explore, right, if you click on it, it will open all the options. Now you can browse your device also where you exactly want to store this particular file, right? So until and unless, now until and unless in the sense, if you have developed some visuals, let's suppose you have developed some visuals here, and I mean, you have practiced it. But if you're directly closing it also, while closing it also, it will see for now, there are no visuals, it has directly closed. But if I would have added some visuals, it would have asked me to save that file. Definitely, it will prompt you to save that file. So yesterday, what we practiced, I've already saved it at a particular location. So make sure if you are practicing anything, it would again, even if you're directly closing it also, it will prompt you to save it. But still, if it is not prompting also, it is our duty to use the keyboard options like Control S. It is nothing but save a particular file. So it would be saved at a location, whatever location you choose or whatever location you select. And from there, you can re-pick up that file. So let me open the file which I already practiced, right? Which we already saved or which we have already seen yesterday. So I'm opening that file. And the most important part, maybe we skipped that discussion, but anyways, we'll discuss it today. That if you are using this Power BI desktop application, if you're using this Power BI desktop application, there are few requirements from the hardware point of view of the device on the device which we have installed this Power BI desktop. So what are that hardware requirements are? See, I would not suggest you to go back and have a different laptop, or I would not suggest you to go back and purchase something. This is not our deal, right? This is not we are focusing on. Our primary aim is to understand or learn Power BI. But the question is, there are certain restrictions. If anyone is using a laptop with minimum 8 GB RAM, let this open. Right. So if anyone is using laptop with minimum 8 GB RAM, for them, the Power BI desktop would work very easily. 8 GB or anything greater than 8 GB, 8, 12, 16, it all. I've rarely, there would be a person who's using more than 16 GB of RAM, but anything greater than 8, right? Anything greater than 8, if you're using, it is good that Power BI would work efficiently. This is from the RAM perspective. But I'm not saying that if it is less than 8 GB, it will not work. Even if your RAM is of 4 GB, you can still download Power BI Desktop. It will still efficiently work. The only question is whenever you are using Power BI Desktop, make sure you close the other applications which are parallelly running in your laptop. Now, how do you close it? Right? There has to be certain option. How do you, if you're using 3, 4 browsers simultaneously, people have a habit, right? What habit they have? They have a browser open and they have 20, 30 tabs open parallel. Please don't do that. If all 20 tabs are opened simultaneously in a particular browser, what happens is all the tabs will require certain RAM storage. Even though it's one single browser application, but all the tabs will have that continuous refresh. So in that case, it will occupy RAM additionally, and the burden on the Power BI desktop would be more. So Power BI desktop always, whenever you open any Power BI desktop, if you check your RAM status, it will occupy 30 to 40% of the RAM storage, only one application. Because that is how Power BI desktop, it's very heavy application. So 30 to 40% of your RAM storage is occupied by this Power BI. So you have to make sure that you have a sufficient RAM. If you're additionally practicing some other data sets which are connected from cloud or some other external data sets, in that place, it might increase the occupancy to 50% of the RAM storage. So the other 50% should not be completely occupied. You make sure you are using all the other applications without Power BI. That means if you're opening Power BI, make sure all other applications are perfectly closed. For the people with 4 GB RAM, for the people with 8 GB RAM also, try to follow similar process. If you have many other applications open in the simultaneously, browser with 5 to 10 different tabs, some other browser, or you have some Excel open. So Excel, yeah, Excel can work. Excel, Power BI, and a browser with 2, 3 tabs, it's sufficient. But if you're having, there are many other applications which parallelly run, right? Try to close them. Try to close that applications. Now, how do you close? I assume that you already know how the laptop or how the desktop works, how your systems work. If you don't know, there is this option. Now, how do you check that is you can go down to the taskbar, or in the below you have this complete bar right in the Windows laptop. You have to click on this white space. Somewhere in the white space, you will get this task manager. Task manager will help you to identify how much your RAM is occupied. See, mine is a 8 GB RAM. Even though I have a 8 GB RAM, I have Zoom running in the parallel. I have Microsoft Whiteboard running in the parallel. I have the desktop, Power BI desktop, and I have some other browsers also running in the parallel. For 8 GB RAM, it is continuously changing, you see. It's not constant. It is continuously changing. It might reach up to 70, 75% if I am using Power BI desktop constant. But this is for 8 GB. This is not for 4 GB. So make sure if you're using a 4 GB and if you're attending a session parallelly, your Zoom would be running, your browser would be running, and your desktop would be running. So additional browsers are open, or if the browser has many other tabs, try to close it. Your memory should be efficiently used. Your CPU, I mean, memory and CPU should be efficiently used. So that's how you can manage your RAM, right? So make sure your device is having 8 GB RAM, then you can parallelly run 3, 4 applications along with Power BI. But that 3, 4 applications would be dependent on what you are working, right? Maybe you are attending sessions, you're going through recordings, that's still fine. But for people with 4 GB RAM, make sure you're using it very efficiently. There is a very high chance that your Power BI desktop might get stuck at certain point. That's still okay, right? Because you have to manage it. Somehow you have to manage it. I'm not saying that you can increase your RAM. It is not, I mean, it's not the requirement. 4 GB is also okay. I've started using Power BI in my older laptop, which was 4 GB. So I've almost worked for 4 to 5 years with the same 4 GB RAM, which is still okay. There's nothing wrong in that, but you have to close the other applications. Now, coming back to Power BI, right? I've opened the Power BI, which I've saved yesterday. How do I identify when was it last saved? Once you open that file, at the topmost corner, you can see I've given a name called as Practice Power BI. Earlier, it was untitled, right? If you don't save it, there would be a name called as untitled. And this was last saved yesterday at 9:55 a.m., right? Post closure of our session, after 20 minutes, I've saved this file with a particular name. So you can always go back and check when was it last saved. And towards right, you will have this close, minimize, maximize, all these options, and you have some login, right? I can see my name here. I can see my name. This is my name. Now the question is, for you people, it is not logged in. You may not be logged in. That's still fine, right? You can still use it. Even if you're not logged in, you can still use the Power BI desktop. The login is required at a certain point when you want to download some visuals which are not here. There are some other visuals which you can download from a certain workplace or a marketplace. So I'll let you know how to download it. At that point of time, we will be sharing email IDs. And by the time we reach out to that step, you still have ample time to practice Power BI service also. We may not reach Power BI service in next 1 month. Post 1 month, we might end up using Power BI service. So at that point of time, you will be having a email ID dependency. So we will be sharing email IDs at that particular point, not now. So, right, without login also, it will still work. There is nothing, I mean, there are no other features which it will block. You can use all the features. You can use all the default visuals which are available. So basic discussion done. We have seen 2 important charts yesterday. One is stacked bar chart and one is stacked column chart. And we have seen what is x-axis, what is y-axis, how do we get the information into them, whether it's a categorical data, whether it's a numerical data, and what is legend, right? Legend in a sense, within that column or a bar stacked, we have that legend, which is helping us to partition the data depending on whatever values you're trying to take into that legend condition. Now, let's try to understand. There are some other visuals along. I mean, the very first line is very easy, but the question is we need to understand where to use what kind of visual, right? Not every time as a developer or as a data analyst, it is our responsibility that if some data is given to us, we need to identify that which visual would be the right fit depending on the requirement. Now we have seen just basic stacked bar and column chart. Let's see what is clustered bar and column chart. We have clustered bar chart and we have clustered column chart. Now there is a difference, right? Stacked means it is stacked within that same bar or a column. That means it is compressed within that same bar or a column, right? So if I'm trying to consider this condition, if I'm trying to consider this specific condition, this is stacked. Information is stacked one above the other, right? This is different condition, this is different condition, this is different condition. This is, I mean, these are all the legends. With the help of that legend condition, we have stacked information. So same happens with the bar chart also, right? In the bar chart also, all the information is stacked within the bar. Right? This is one condition, this is one condition, this one. And it is all stacked. Now there is a difference between stacked and clustered. Clustered means what? Cluster. Understand, not clustered. It is just cluster also, you can understand. Cluster means a group of similar components. Something group of similar. A cluster is managed, right? How a cluster looks like? Cluster looks like this, something like this. Right? There is a cluster of information. Something cluster of information, right? This is more a kind of cluster. When it is grouped all together, but it is clustered bar chart. It is clustered bar chart. So this is stacked. This is stacked, which is bar chart. And this is column chart, right? Clustered column chart. But how come a clustered bar chart be? I'm talking about bar chart. I'm not talking about cluster. Cluster is just a group of similar components grouped together or combined together, where all the multiple entities are there. But I'm talking about clustered bar and clustered column. How does it look like? Something like this. You will have multiple columns, multiple bar charts. This is column chart. This is clustered column chart. Because everything is combined together, right? Grouped. This column is combined with this column, this column, this column. And clustered bar chart will look like this. This is clustered bar chart. The only difference is it is left to right and it is top to bottom. So clustered means similar entities are combined together. Similar entities. Let's try to see, right? This is just a mere example or mere discussion which we have done, but let's try to see how does this charts look like. Now, I mean, I feel that there is no space available here. I mean, I can take that visual. What I have to do is I have to compress the other two visuals which I'm using, right? These two visuals. Let's go to the new page. Let's have a new page. I'll go to the new page and let me take this clustered bar chart. And in the clustered bar chart also, you will have that same options. You will have that same options. There's nothing different. It's just the view, how that cluster looks like. And you can see with the background preview also, you can identify that this is how the clustered bar chart looks like. Now, if it's a bar chart, x-axis and y-axis we need to identify. X will remain same, y will remain same. The question is what should be taken in y and what should be taken in x-axis. That we need to identify, right? So if it's a bar chart, what needs to be present in y-axis and what needs to be present in x-axis? Can anyone help me? I mean, help me in the sense, not the column name, but what kind of data should be present, whether a categorical or a numerical data.
Yeah, x-axis numerical data. Y-axis.
Okay.
Categorical
I'll
area.
try
X-axis
to take.
categorical, Y numerical.
Okay. Y-axis should be categorical data and X should be numerical.
Numerical.
So y-axis, I'll try to take segment. Now I'm not seeing any cluster, right? So if I go back here also, this is bar chart. Until and unless if I have only y and x axis, you will not be able to see the stacked bar chart also. But if you end up adding something into the legend, only then, legend is what? Partition. Legend is what? It will have that stacks, multiple stacks in a bar or a column. So until and unless you end up adding anything into this legend, you will not feel the difference between a normal stacked bar chart and a clustered bar chart. Only x and y axis will only give you a normal bar chart. But until and unless you add certain conditions, certain partition to this legend, it will not, you cannot differentiate whether it's a stacked or a clustered. Now, in case of stacked, if I'm adding region, this is how it is stacked within that same bar. But if I go to the clustered bar chart, the information would be clustered. That means a group of information will be present. So how that grouping happens, let me add that same region here. So you can easily spot the difference. This is cluster. It is not getting stacked one below the other, one above the other. No, it is creating a cluster of information, group of information. So there are 4 groups, right? Depending on the legend, there are 4 groups in the consumer. There are 4 regions rather, which is central, east, south, and west, which are clustered together. Now, the question is whether I should go with this chart or whether I should go with this chart. It all depends on the requirement. Requirement in the sense, the end user would not come up to you and say that I want a clustered bar chart only or a stacked bar chart only. No, you have to suggest them that if you are able to read the data here very efficiently, well and good. If you're able to read the data here very efficiently, this is also well and good. Now it depends, right, which chart they like. They might like, some people might like this clustered bar chart and some people may like stacked bar chart. So you can identify, right? You can easily check and you can show them that this is what it looks like. You can demo them. And then depending on the suggestions, you can select the appropriate visual. So this is clustered bar chart. There is nothing different. In case of stacked, the information is stacked one above the other or one next to each other, right? It's a stacked bar chart. In case of cluster, it would be multiple common entities grouped together, which is kind of cluster-like information. And if you hover on all the charts, you will get that tooltip. This is tooltip. Whenever I'm hovering on certain component, it is that white window is coming. That is called as tooltip condition, which we have also seen yesterday, right? So what is mentioned into this chart, all that columns would be visible. Like segment is there, we have region is there, and we have profit is there. But additionally, if I want to show sales also, I've mentioned profit as a numeric condition for this chart. But if I want to show sales as well into the tooltip value, not additionally into chart, but into tooltip value, I can get the sales added to the below condition. We have a tooltip condition, tooltips, and I can add the sales. And in this tooltips, you can add on multiple conditions. It is not that you can only add one additional column, right? If I hover now, I'll be able to see the sales as well. For consumer segment, for central region, what is the profit and what is the sales? Sales is not present in this chart. Only profit is present. But if I'm adding that sum of sales, that numeric condition to the tooltip, it is additionally adding that tooltip information.
So what is the main use of the tooltip? Just to
Give
show
some
you,
additional information. Right? I mean, this clusters or cluster bars, we cannot identify. I mean, we have X and Y axis, that's still fine. But what is the exact value, right? How do I check that exact value? If you hover on them. So if you hover on them, depending on what cluster it is, what partition it is, it will show you that different values. So tooltip is for every visual, you will get a tooltip by default. But in tooltip, whatever you are dragging to that visual, only that conditions would be mentioned. Additionally, if you want to show something different or something out of the box, right? Sales is nowhere in this visual, but I want to show that. You can still add that sales to the tooltip. Now, I also want to show discount. I have a column called as discount. I'll get this discount. sum of discount. So it will show the discount in the tooltip as well. You see, it is also showing that discount. So tooltip is what? It is a hovering condition. Whenever you hover on a certain partition or a cluster, it would give you additional information. That additional information you can add into tooltips, which is not part of visual, but you can still showcase. And it is partitioning. See, sales is not common for all the bars. Sales is different. So the tooltips are also smart enough. That's how tooltips are developed. Depending on what partition you are hovering, it would give you that sales condition. It would give you that discount condition.
Like
Right? And you
even
can
in
go on adding multiple values. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no, even in the stacked bar chart and stacked column chart, I can
We
add this
can,
tooltip.
we can. For see, wherever you find this tooltip, you can end up adding that. So this is sales, right? I'll add profit. So if I hover on this, I'm getting sales by default, which is coming from a visual, but I'm also additionally getting profit because I've added that condition to the tooltip. And it is dynamic, it is not static. Depending on what stacked condition you are hovering on, the profit is also changing dynamically. So you can add n number of columns. You can go on adding the columns to this tooltip. It is not that you should have only one column. You can go on adding. And if you see, in Legend, you cannot add more than one condition. That means you are adding region. Parallelly, I also want to add this shipment mode to this same bar chart. You cannot add. If I add shipment mode, region will be automatically removed. So in a Legend, you can take one column at a time, whereas in Tooltip, multiple columns can be taken. And if you go above, how to identify whether I can add more columns to that particular condition. Wherever there is this white space, that means you can add one more column or one more condition. And if there is no white space, see for x-axis Legend, there is no white space below a particular column. That means you cannot add one more condition. You can add only one condition at a time. So in Tooltip, we can see, right? We can easily add multiple conditions, which is still possible. So in y-axis, I can add one more column, but how it will work in a different manner. So that we will discuss in further sessions. But for now, only understand what is the importance of tooltip, and I can add multiple columns or multiple conditions to it. Now it depends, right? The question is whether I can only add numerical data. For our chart, numerical data is giving us the right result. You can add some categorical value to it also. Like if I end up adding category is a categorical value. But if I'm adding category, so it is automatically taking first category. It will not take all the categories. Whichever category comes first under this consumer segment, standard shipment mode or standard class, the first category is furniture. So it depends what kind of value you are adding to the tooltip. Automatically, it will adjust as per the visual. And tooltips are very important. Tooltips are very important. Now the question again comes whether the tooltip information which is being shown here, is it all white only? Because sometimes white is not correct, right? Okay, we can see. But at certain point of time, if everything is colored, how come this tooltip is in white? By default, it is white. The background of tooltip is in white. We'll try to see how do we format that. Can we add a different color to it in the background? We can. There are possibilities. But how do we do that? Let's try to see that. But let's first discuss what is clustered bar chart we have seen. So what I'll do, same. I mean, once you develop any particular visual and you want to store that Power BI, you need to only mention Control S. So this was saved yesterday at 9:55. So if I mention Control S, automatically it will be saved. You see, it is saved at 8:37. Instantly it has saved. At current time, it got saved. So you can use all your keyboard shortcuts which you're using in the Excel or which you use for your day-to-day activities. Same keyboard shortcuts can be used in the Power BI desktop also. All that keyboard shortcuts will work. Now, if I want to take a copy of this visual, see, I'll not create a separate clustered column chart. I'll not create it. What I'll do, I'll take a copy of the same clustered bar chart, Control C and Control V. See, there is a duplicate visual which has been created. So you use your mouse and drag it towards right. Now, once you dragged right, I want to create clustered column chart. This is bar chart. Just change the view. This is your clustered column chart. The only thing is I've changed the view from bar chart to column chart, which is the duplicate of that bar chart. I've taken a duplicate of that visual. Control C, Control V, it will take a duplicate copy of it. And I've just changed the view from clustered bar chart to the clustered column chart. So it's very easy, right? Cluster, understand the importance of cluster. Cluster means a group of information. That's it. And how do you group? Until and unless there is no legend, you cannot have a stacked condition or you cannot have a clustered.
What is that? The small multiples there?
Okay. Let's try to discuss small multiples once we complete 7 to 8 charts. Let's not have this condition or let's not discuss it now. As it's very easy. If you want that small multiples to be given or small multiples to be added, say I'll give you a small demo, but we'll not discuss it now. This is small multiples. But the readability in the small multiples is equal to 0. For the below charts, you can see the data is visible. For the above charts, the data is not visible. So it is almost equal to 0. So I would not always suggest to go with small multiples if and only if there is certain requirement and you have a very good space available. Right. So we'll discuss it afterwards. For almost most of the visuals, this small multiples is there in the first two views, in the first two rows, right? We have two rows of visuals in the first two conditions. For all the visuals, you have the small multiples. So we'll discuss it all together at the end. So any questions on this clustered bar chart and clustered column chart? It is just a cluster of information, a group of information combined together. Rather than stacked, it is cluster. Now, whenever we are trying to learn any specific charts, right, let's do one thing because we need to know, right, in which chart, what axis will have what kind of information, right? What particular axis will have what kind of information, we need to know that. So let's try to, let me open the pad. So I'll mention, right, we'll also create an Excel out of it. Once we cover 8 to 10 visuals or maybe 6, 7 visuals, we'll try to create an Excel. In that Excel, we will mention the chart, what conditions that chart has, like x-axis, y-axis, legend, tooltip, what needs to be taken in every condition, we will have to mention. So if I've just, we just started with stacked column, or the first condition is bar chart, right? Stacked bar chart. And I keep both together, stacked and clustered. It's one and the same, right? Stacked and clustered bar chart and stacked, clustered column chart. So I've covered two charts here. There are total 4 charts we covered, but I've combined it. So in case of clustered bar chart, what should be present in y-axis? Because y-axis will come first for the bar chart. What should be coming in the x-axis? And what should be coming in the legend? For now, tooltip is common for all the visuals. So we can discuss tooltip together for all the visuals. And tooltip is auto-adjustable. Depending on the visual, whether the numeric data is sufficient or whether the categorical data is sufficient, it will auto-adjust. But the important parts are y-axis, x-axis, and legend. So what should be present in y-axis, what should be present in x-axis, and what should be present in legend. Same way for this particular chart, what should be present in x-axis, what should be present in y-axis, and what should be present in legend, right? So we will have different views. The best fit is if we take categorical data, right? So what I'll do, we'll try to create an Excel after we complete 6-7 visuals. But what is C? C is categorical data. Categorical data. What is N? N is numerical data. Now there is one more component. One is categorical, one is numerical. For now, we only discussed categorical and numerical, right? There is one more component called as date. Date time data. We haven't discussed date, but there is a date time also, right? We might get some information in date time data also. So we will discuss this D afterwards. We just started with C and N. So let me increase the size. So in case of clustered bar chart, Y axis should always have this categorical data. X axis should always have numerical data, and legend should always have what? Categorical or numerical? In case of legend, what should be present?
Categorical.
It should be always categorical.
Category.
Always categorical. Now coming down to column chart. In case of x-axis, it should be always categorical. In case of y-axis, it is always numerical. And in case of legend, it is always categorical. Now, let's take the number of options also, right? We can take only one numerical data. We can take only one legend. Even though we can take multiple y-axis, but let's only assume one categorical now, because only one category can show you one view at a time. Same goes with the column chart. In case of x-axis, it should be only one categorical data. In case of y-axis, it should be only one numerical data. And legend is anyways by default one legend only. So 4 charts, what all conditions, right? This is the best fit condition. This is the best fit condition. There might be some wrong fit also. What is wrong fit? I can take some one category here. And in case of x-axis also, you can take one category also, right? But it will be count of category. If I go to a bar chart, inside this bar chart, rather than taking a numerical data to the x-axis, I'll try to take some categorical data like state. It will be count of state. See, readability is good. There is nothing wrong in this visual. But if I'm taking some categorical value to the x-axis in case of bar chart, might be clustered or stacked, it will still take that x-axis condition as a count of state. State is a categorical value, but it is taking a count of state. That is the reason for consumer, how many states are there in the central region? There are 1 to 1 2 states, but this is wrong, right? These many number of states shouldn't come. So there are certain options also available, but for now, let's understand that for a consumer segment, these many number of states are there. Readability is good. Data is also correct. There is nothing wrong. So I can still take categorical value, but that will be converted into numerical only. That would be converted into numerical only. And anyways, legend would be categorical. Even this is best fit, but certain conditions. What all conditions they are? The data which you have taken inside that x-axis is a categorical value and it is auto converted into numerical. That is the reason it is best fit. That is the reason it is best fit. So you can have all 3 C's also, but the x-axis C will be converted into N, which is numerical condition. Now, same can be done inside a column chart. You can have one category inside x-axis. In case of y-axis also, you can take one category, but it will be auto-converted to one numeric. How? Again, I'll go back. This is clustered column chart. In case of y-axis, which is sum of profit, I'll try to take states, which will be count of state. Readability of data is good, right? There is nothing wrong in this. You can still read the data, but the categorical value which I've taken, that categorical value is converted into numeric condition. So there are multiple options which are present. Even this is best fit. So this is also best fit and the above condition is also best fit, but the below condition is with certain condition. What is that condition? In case of numeric, in case of categorical, it is converted to numeric. So that's still fine, right? There's nothing wrong. I can take this condition applied here as well. But certain conditions. What is that condition? Categorical converted to numeric, right? So
Ritesh,
if you, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
but we mostly try to refrain from the second condition, right? In most
We
of the
try to
cases,
refrain. We try
right?
to refrain. But the question is, if you really want the count of states, how many states are present in central for a consumer segment, you can still take
Correct,
that.
correct.
If there is a really requirement, if there is that real-time requirement of how many states are there, you can still take that. We should refrain it, but if the condition is the end user is asking that requirement, we can take that. Now, vice versa, you cannot do. You cannot take numerical in the y-axis and you cannot take numerical in the x-axis of a bar chart and column chart simultaneously. You cannot take, right? If I take one numeric here, let's suppose if I'm trying to take one numeric, and this is anyways remain numeric only. Even if you take categorical, it will be numeric. And in legend, you cannot take numeric. There is no requirement of numeric. But let's see, right? I'll take categorical as of now. Now, let's see what is the good fit. This is for bar chart I'm trying to say, right? So in case of y-axis, I will take numeric condition. So I'll remove this segment and let me add numeric condition called as profit. In case of, see, here itself, the chart is losing its readability. It is a bar chart, but what it is giving, no idea. So I'll remove the x, and it should be anyways numeric, right? X-axis. So I'll again, from the profit point of view, I'll try to take discount. The chart itself is not understandable. And if the chart is not able to read all the data, yesterday also we have got this eye icon showing representative sample, click to see details. Okay, what is this? Too many profit values showing a representative sample, filter the data or choose the another field. See, Power BI visual will not show any data if you're randomly dragging any column. No, it will still show that. It will not block anything. Power BI is developed in such a way that you take any scrap data, random, any dump data also, you can still take that. You can drag and drop. It will still show that, but the readability of a visual, whether that visual is understandable, what we are trying to show with that visual, is it correct or not? That is the responsibility of a data analyst. So we have to think from that point of view. I mean, the visual is correct. Visual is giving some information, but the data is not readable. It is not understandable. How can you show profit and discount all together in this X and Y, which is not feasible, right? So that's the reason this eye icon is coming. That means there are too many values to show. Too many profits are there in the y-axis condition, right? So this is not good fit, right? This is not good fit. Not a good fit. The second condition, since second condition is also best, but I can keep it to good, right? If and only if there is a requirement, you can go with that. If and only if there is a requirement, you can go with this good fit. Best is the topmost. Same happens with the clustered column chart. If I try to take in x-axis, if I try to take a numerical condition, and in y-axis, anyways, if I take any numeric or categorical, it will be by default numeric, and I'll try to take one category. Readability of chart would be gone, right? Readability of a chart would be gone. So if I add some profit to it, no readability, zero readability of a chart. So most important, and you can see here also the eye icon is coming. That means there are too many values to show. There are too many values to show. So it is our responsibility to understand and give the better picture or better view for every chart. You can randomly drag and drop anything. Still that will work. That's how Power BI is developed. And as I've said, there is an interactivity between the visuals. If the data is coming from the same table, interactivity will be by default. If the data is coming from different tables, if that tables are related to each other. That means there is a relationship. In that case, also interactivity will work. But as of now, both the charts are coming. In both the charts, the data is coming from same table, which is our sample superstring. So if I click on any condition, the other condition will also be automatically changed. There is this interactivity. This is how interactivity works. Right? Automatically interactivity is working. So for all the visuals, by default in Power BI, there is a interactivity. If there is a data interactivity, if there is a data connectivity between them, yes, there will be always an interactivity by default. And always keep most important part.
Interactivity.
Go ahead.
No, interactivity will be
Uh,
only if we pull data from the same table. If I pull from two different tables, still
If there is a
interactivity.
relationship between that two tables, it will still have that interaction. There has to be some relation, right? You cannot have two separate tables which is nowhere related. If there is a relation, how do you create a relation? That's what you have to do in the data model view. In the modeling view, you can do that relationship. That we will discuss in further sessions. But how do you create a relationship if there is some similar column in both the tables? So in that case, if you create a relationship, even though the columns are coming or the visuals are from two different tables, it will still have that interactivity because there is a relationship between that two tables. If there is no connection between the two tables, no, there won't be any interactivity. And always keep one thing or understand one thing for sure. In case of legend, it is not recommended to go with some numeric data. Not recommended. It is not that you should never use. There is no condition called as never ever use numerical into legend. You can still use, right? If I have a column called, let's suppose I have a column called as numeric column. That is, the column name is random. I'll take some random column name and that is numerical data. In that, there are four conditions like 500, 1000, 2000, and 5000. See, I have a column which is a numerical column. That column name is partition or partition slabs. This is the column name. If I take this numerical condition into legend in a bar chart or in a column chart, how many of you think this would be the right approach or how many of you think this is the not good fit? Think. Now you have to visualize, right? If I take a partition slab into a legend, there are four conditions into that partition slab, but it's a numerical condition. 500, 1000, 2000, and 5000. Whether it will be a good fit or whether it will be a bad fit. Assume.
It will be a bad fit. Proper we can see proper, not good.
How? It can be a good fit, right? Because it will have only four partitions. 500, 1000, 2000, and 5000. What legend is doing, it is partitioning that conditions with 500 slab, 1000 slab, 2000 slab, and 5000 slab. Data is readable, right? Four conditions are there. Usually numeric data is not in 4 or 5 conditions. It is more than certain number of values, right? Partition. If you're taking certain component in legend, it should have minimum number of partitions. Even though it's a numeric, it should have minimum number of partitions. That is the first condition. It should never be numeric. It is not the case. It can be, but the partition should be less than 5, 6. 5, 6 is readable, right? If the number of partitions increases more than 8 or 10, that is not readable. So if I get this numerical value, the partition slabs into legend, readability will be good only. There will be 4 partition slabs, 500, 1000, 2000, 5000, which is still okay, right? Data is readable. Usually numeric data is having multiple values. That's the reason we avoid taking it in legend. But if it has only 4 conditions, 5 conditions, we can still take that. There's nothing wrong in that. So let's not confuse that legend should never be negative. No, that is not the case. Readability is first point. If the partitions are less from the numerical point of view, also you can still take that. So you have to think, visualize, because there are 4 partitions will be wrong. The data is readable. It is still readable. I'll never say that you cannot take numeric in legend, but if the number of partitions are less, you can still take that. Avoid taking, because usually numeric data has multiple unique values. There are 4 unique values. There can be more than 4 unique values most of the times in a numeric column. If I take profit, there are some 1,000 numeric values, more than 1,000. In sales also more than 1,000. But if the number of partitions are less, you can still take that into a legend. Our primary aim is to have minimum number of partitions in a legend. Any questions on this? From the legend point of view, you can still take numerical data, but only and only if the number of partitions are readable. It is not that you should have only 2 partitions, 3 partitions, 4 or 5. If the partition is readable, that data is readable, you can still take. Fair enough. So let's try to take a new page and let's try to understand the last 2 visuals of the first row or the first line. So stacked and clustered are very easy. The only difference is how that view happens, stacked and clustered. The last one is 100% stacked bar. Now, what is 100%? It is stacked bar chart only, and this is stacked column chart only. But additionally, they have been given some option called as 100%. What is that? What is that? Additional 100%. So, in order to understand this, I'll slightly go back to the page number 1, where we have this stacked bar chart. And see, there are certain icons which are coming whenever I am clicking on a particular visual. So what all these icons are? The first one is filter icon. Filter icon, and this filter is one and the same. We haven't discussed this, but we will discuss. And for every visual, if you are dragging any column to it, let's suppose y-axis, x-axis, even tooltip, legend, all that columns will default come in the filter page. Whatever columns you are dragging, all that columns will still come in the filter pane. Now, what is this filter pane? We'll try to understand, but not now. Our primary aim is to understand now is the 100% stack bar chart. What is it? What is that 100% stack bar chart? So if I try to take a copy of this stacked bar chart, the very first condition, now I'll remove the shifted mode and I'll take a region. Let's have region. So I will take a snapshot of it. I'll only take first bar, consumer bar. Right. Now, what I'll do, what is the total consumer information, total consumer sales? What is the total consumer sales? I have to check right first. In order to understand that 100% stack bar chart, you need to have total value for the consumer. It is somewhere more than 1 million, but I'm not sure whether it is completely more than 1 million, right? What is the exact value? So if I hover on this, let me remove the category tooltip also, and I'll remove the other tooltips because these are not written. As of now, these are not written. So if I hover on this, see, it is giving you sum of sales for only West region because we have added a legend. So what I will do for now, I'll remove the region also. And I will check what is the total consumer sales. It is 1.3 million. It is 1.3 million. Now, if you want to get that value directly visible, that particular value should be directly visible. See, for every visual, as I've said, you will be default in the add your data to the option or add your data to visual option. If you go to next option, this is where you can format your visual. So in the formatting, where are the numerical values from the bar chart that are on the x-axis, right? So I'll open the x-axis option. I'll come down. There are values which are visible, but I want to display them, right? I want to display these values. I want to display. Okay, how do I display them? See, there is this option called as data labels. If I on this, you can automatically see the total figure. But if I add a legend to it, again, I'm adding the region. It will be partitioned with respect to the legend. I don't want legend for now. For now, I don't want. What are the total values? I have taken total value is 1.38. So what I'll do, I'll try to take this value. 138,140. Let me try to take, or here only. Try to take it separately. Total value for consumer. Total value for consumer is 138,140. What is it? 138,140.1. There might be some decimal, but I'm not taking decimal, or which is equivalent to 1.3 million. Right now, I'll go back and add that region. Region is added. If you are clicking on a particular visual, there are icons coming, right? Filter we will discuss afterwards. The second icon is the focus mode. What is this focus mode? If I click on it, the visual will open in a zoomed manner. It is not zoomed. The original visual size will remain same, but it is giving you in a focus mode. You can go back to the normal mode using this back to window. We'll again come down to the normal mode only. So let me click on focus mode again. And this is very easy to understand, right? The focus mode is easy to understand. So consumer segment is what? 0.47 million, or it is 472,031. Okay, let me add that. This is consumer segment, and consumer segment is having 472,031. This is the exact value. Right now, I'll add this. What is this? The blue one is the, it's not consumer, either it was central, my bad. In consumer, it was central because by default, we are in the consumer. This is central. And the second one is east. So what is the east value? Let's try to have, right? It is somewhere around 0.35. That is 350,908. Right? So I'll add that. 350,908. Now, what is this? This is south. So south will have, what is the south value? It is 0.2 million. It is not exactly 0.2. It is less than 2, but it is rounding up in the data labels. The original value is 195,580. Okay, let me take that. 195,580. And the last one is the west. So what is the west condition? It is 0.36, 362,880. 362,880. Now, how that 100% bar chart will work is, it will have the total value as the 100% value. For consumer, there might be different total value. For corporate, there might be different total value. For home office, there might be different total. Total means total sales for home office will be separate. Total sales for corporate will be separate. And total sales for consumer will be separate. But let's assume this has total value. So I will divide every partition. That means for central, it is 472, right? So 472, let me open the calculator as well. What is total value? 138,140.1. But I will divide by 472. My bad. 472,031 divided by total value, which is 1381401 into 100. That means Central is occupying 30. What is the percentage? 34%. Out of the total consumer sales, Central is occupying 34%. Now, what is East? East is, I'll remove everything, 350,908 divided by total value 1381401 into 100, 25%. So this is 25%. Now I'll go to South. What is the South value? South is 195,580 divided by 1381401. This is into 100. 14%. What it is? It is 14%. And the last West one. West one is 362,880 divided by 1381401 into 100. 26 point or some 26%. So first one is 34%, then 25%, then 14%, and then 26%. If you add that pointers, it will come down to 100. It is 100 only, even though it is 99. If you add that pointer values, right, decimal values, it will be 100. That means if this complete consumer segment is having total sales of 1381401, which is somewhere around 13,81,401 or 1.3 million or 1.38 million rather, if that is the total sales for the consumer segment in the complete that set of records, if you have different regions, every region occupies different percentage of sales, right? If you want to get this information, I will go back to the report. Let me go to the new page. What I will do is I'll try to take a copy of this same bar chart which I have. Control C, I'll go to the new page, Control V. And I will automatically change to 100% stacked bar chart. Only focus on the consumer for now. Only focus on the consumer because we considered consumer. So in consumer, our central region was occupying 34, which is correct. Our east region was occupying 25, which is still correct. Our south region was occupying 14, which is still correct. And our last west region was occupying 26, which is correct. So this 100% stacked bar chart will give you total consumer sales divided by every region sales. So how much that region is occupying, that percentage bifurcation, it will give you. That is called as 100% stacked bar chart. So if you want to get which region is occupying larger chunk of sales into that consumer segment, central region for consumer. And in case of corporate, west region is occupying larger chunk of sales because it is 32, somewhere around 31.98, which is 32%. Same with the home office. In the home office also, west region is having 33% share, whereas for consumer, it is vice versa. Central is having 34 and west is having 26. So for every segment, which region is having most chunk of sales, you can identify with the percentage bifurcation. This is your 100% stacked bar chart. And this is dynamic. We only considered consumer. If I would have chosen corporate also, corporate total sales divided by each region sales would give you this percentage value. And this percentage values are visible. Why? Because I have kept on this data label. If you keep on these data labels only, the values would be visible. If I off this, You have to hover on them. Then only the tooltip will give you. But let's have this, right? Why to hover on everything? Let's have this data. Data labels will be visible.
Focus, how did you get it? Focus, how?
Focus, the second icon. If you click on that visual, focus mode.
Oh,
This is your
focus.
focus mode.
Basically, it
So
gives a
on the segment, three varieties are there, right? Consumer, corporate, and home office.
Segment, three segments are there, and region within region is a partition, right? That's a legend. So within that segment, there are four partitions. You can interchange also. What I will do, I will take segment, maybe I'll take region into y-axis and I'll take segment into legend. So there are four regions, and in every region, there are three segments. You can do vice versa also. Depends on the requirement, right? You want to show by region and then by segment partition, you can show it this way. If you want to show by segment and region partition, you can show the other way, which we have seen.
And also how these values are getting calculated.
It is auto calculated, right? That's how the visual is. I mean, I have shown you manually that this is how it is calculated. But this visual is developed in such a manner that all the visuals have their own characteristics. We need to identify what that characteristics is or what that behavior of that visual is. The behavior of this 100% stack bar chart, this is how it works. It will take the total value, it will take that partition value divided by total value into 100 will give you the percentage share. It is all auto calculated. We need, see, if we would have, if it is our responsibility to calculate, then why to use a visual, right? I can calculate in a normal stack bar chart also. Why to use this visual? This visual has its own behavior, right? The behavior is it will auto calculate that percentage. And if you check the last chart, the only thing is this is bar chart and this is column chart. Everything remains same. The view changes left to right, top to bottom. That's the only change. How is it calculated? Manually, I've shown you this is how it is calculated. But this is all automated, right? The visual has its own behavior. So that's how. Just for example, understanding example, I've shown you this condition for one condition, one particular segment, and partitions with respect to regions I've shown.
So there's no requirement of write any query or code
No,
in Power BI or in this
no
case only.
requirement, right? If you start writing the code from the day one itself, then there is no benefit, right? Half of the people will not learn Power BI. That's how Power BI is developed. It is developed in such a manner that you reduce the number of writing formulas or logics. At some point of time, I mean, you have to write. We are not in until that, right? We are in the very first phase. So in terms of visualization, most of the visuals doesn't require any logics until and unless you have the data which is not appropriate, you have to write that logic. The behavior of the visual itself is the percentage bifurcation. So that's how it will auto calculate. And all conditions remain same, right? If you are discussing the same bar chart also, y-axis, x-axis, legend will remain same. If it's a column chart, y, x will remain same. So I can add this three conditions, 100% clustered column and same 100% stacked. Is it clustered? It is stacked, right? Not clustered. Because in cluster, you cannot have that percentage. And I mean, you can still have, but they haven't kept that percentage in the cluster. They have kept it in the stack too. Because 100% is one single stack. Right? You cannot show it in clusters separately. You cannot show percentage in clusters. You can show percentage in stack. This is total 100%, this column. This is column is total 100%. So it should be stacked. So that's the reason there is no clustered 100% clustered bar or column chart. It is just a stack chart. So 100% stacked bar chart. Right. We have covered 6 visuals. But for every visual, there is a certain rule. You have to follow that rule. We are following all the rules. And what that visual says, we have also seen stacked, clustered, and 100% stacked. Any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, let me take 5 minutes to explain something. Right, today's fourth session, right? So if you're still, I mean, if you feel what I'm trying to say, if it's understandable to you, you need to log into the website, right? How do you get the access, or how, if you want to enroll for it, right? Two ways. Two ways in the sense, go to explore courses. Free sessions is where you have already accessed this, right? You need to go to this paid sessions. So inside this paid sessions, you will have an option. This one. You need to search. There are many options. You need to search data analytics with Power BI and MS Fabric. Even though we started in the month of August, we started ideally for SQL, but this is September. That's still fine. You can go back and click on it. If you want to access the full course starting from Monday, full course means it is just a continuity. We are not going to start anything from new again. Right? You have to click on buy now. It would open that payment gateway. Here you can make a payment. Now there are options, right? Now the option is, here it is showing 32. No, it is not 32. You can, while making a payment, make sure if you're making one-time payment, there will be some coupon code shared with you. You need to connect with the KSRT. Call them, they'll give you a small coupon code. With that coupon code, you'll get that one-time benefit, 10% discount. Whereas if you want to make 2 installments, you will get that 2000 discount. And if it's 3 installments, by default, it would be 10. So you can make a payment from this website also, or you can make an offline payment calling to the KSR team. They'll directly share you the UPI ID or the account numbers. You can directly share that amount, and this course will be automatically, the paid sessions will be automatically added to your bucket starting from Monday. Right? Anyways, free session will also be there. You will have 2 separate views. This is free view, and the other one will be paid view. In paid view, all the free sessions will be automatically added. And you see there, I mean, if there are many classes simultaneously going on, you can see all the live sessions. So for now, I guess mine is the only batch which is running until 9:30. There are some other parallel batches which starts at 7:30 and they might close by 9. Mine is the only one which is running until 9:30. So as of now, only one live session is going. So if you have access to other courses also, all the live sessions will also be visible. Right? So how to make a payment either by this website, but this website also, it will ask you some coupon code because the amounts are different, right? So you need to contact the KSRT. And if you may want to make offline payment, you can always make an offline payment also, but it depends, right? What kind of payment you're making. So you need to connect with the team. So the team would be the right, the people from the team, our KSI team would be the right people to approach, and they'll give you the best option, how to make a payment. Right. So today's fourth session, tomorrow would be fifth. Fifth would be the last free session. From 6th, we will continue with the other visuals, but it would be paid session. So that's the only difference. And anyways, as I've said, we have our sessions from 8 to 9:30. That doesn't mean I'll take all 90 minutes. I usually take 70-minute session. First 7 to 8 minutes are also for discussion, a random discussion, or if the people are joining. That means I'll assume first 10 minutes, and last 10 minutes are also for normal questions and discussions. So 70 plus 10 plus 10, 90, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 60 plus 30, 90 minutes. So that's how, right? We usually take 70-minute session, not more than 70. If and only if we feel there is some extension required, we take 70 or 80 or 90-minute session, but we'll close. I'll try to close it by 9:30. I'll not extend it more by 9:30, except some few free sessions, right, where this discussion happens. and it would be from Monday to Friday. I will also additionally take sessions related to resume preparation, agile project management, domain management or domain skills, domain understanding. There will be some sessions related to your LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is the most important thing which every person should have nowadays. You should always have that LinkedIn account, and that should be active. That should have all the information correctly mentioned if you want to switch your job. Because rather than Naukri, LinkedIn is most preferable nowadays. You have all the updates coming from LinkedIn, people reaching out to you on LinkedIn. And they'll always check your LinkedIn account to verify whether you are a right person or not. Authentication is done via LinkedIn account many a times nowadays, because HR doesn't know whether you are a valid candidate or not. So the first line of authentication is your LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn account, share that LinkedIn account URL in your resume. That from that LinkedIn account URL, you will be authenticated whether you are really working. Even though you mention it wrong, that's still fine, but they'll authenticate from your LinkedIn account profile. So how that LinkedIn account should look like. So all that discussions will happen. That would be weekend discussions, 1 hour sessions on Saturdays or Fridays. Not every Saturday, but Saturdays and Sundays, not Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. Right. So that's all about this course. If anyone is having any questions, what we discussed today, feel free to ask. From the visuals, from the discussions, from the Power BI point of view, any questions?
Yeah, hi Ritesh. This sample superstore data, I think it is not present
Where is it
under
not present?
under the website, KSSI.
Are you
Can you
sure?
check?
Okay,
I
okay.
got only the movies
Got it.
data,
No,
movies
no, no,
data
no.
with
Just
versus.
a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. I got what you're trying to say. Let me do it. For the people who have joined with SQL, I guess there are 2 separate batches. Okay, just a moment. It would be visible within few seconds only. Just give me a moment. Okay. Anirba, if you go to this option, lessons option, right? You have a data set for SQL or Power BI practice. That window is there for you. Is it visible?
Uh, yeah, data sets for
Yeah.
SQL or Power BI
Right.
practice.
You have that second data set, Superstore data set. You have that. If you expand that,
Yeah, yes, yes,
you
yes.
download that. It is one and the same. You can download.
Okay.
Any other questions with respect to Power BI? Any other questions with respect to discussion, what we have done?
Hi Ritesh, one small question. It's not, I got the today's session, but it's the question is regarding upcoming classes. We want to know, are we going to cover DEX with a good depth, or we are just cover it only at the surface level?
Okay, let me show you a small example, so that you are aware. Yeah. So I'm trying to open an Excel. There are 300 plus DAX functions. Not every function is used on day-to-day basis. Some around 80 to 100 functions are frequently used. Frequently used. So we cover more than 100 functions which are frequently used. Right. Now for say 300, see how that 300 functions came into picture. Power BI or Microsoft comes with every month update, every month. So if they feel there is no update for that particular month, they'll introduce some DAX function, which you cannot think also where to use it. So there are around 120 to 130 functions, which are some random functions. There is a very limited use case of it, very limited. Or you can think that these functions are of not a particular use. So if there are 300 functions, assuming there are more than 300, but assuming there are 300 functions, out of which 40% functions are randomly launched or randomly available functions, which you can see. But we are going to cover the first 50%, which are very important. So I'll try to cover all that first 50%, most of the important functions. And for sure, 99% of the times, these are the only functions which you use on day-to-day basis. And the discussion, what we done now, right? The same discussion. I try to mention it in the Excel as well. So for every chart, what is the good fit, what is the bad fit or unfit, everything we mention, including external visuals. You have this external custom visuals also. Right, so this is for the previous batch, the exact previous batch, which was started in March and which completed in July. This batch started in August, but anyways, this Power BI starting in September. Right, so this all discussion would be done. It is not that we are just randomly doing. Yeah, these are all the files which I'll be sharing with you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Got it. Yeah.
Any other questions? So anything with respect to course access, if you still have questions or you want to discuss something which is totally different or maybe personally, please reach out to the team. That team will definitely help you. With respect to payments, I'm not the right person, but I can guide you how do you make a payment. But the only thing is where to make a payment, all this is managed by the team. So please reach out to the team. How to access the course also, they will definitely help you. I mean, for the first session, which is paid session, 6th or 7th session, we will never start the session at 8 a.m. As I've said, we start at 8 or 8:10. So first 10 minutes are for people who are very new to it, get used to that UI, the KSR app or KSR login, the LMS system UI. So once you get used to it, then we can start at 8. But prior to that, we'll always wait for 10 minutes. Okay. Assuming that there are no technical questions or there are no questions to ask, we are at time 9:30. If you still have any questions, please write it down and you can ask me in tomorrow's session. We still have tomorrow's session. So feel free to ask them in tomorrow's session. And thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Let's connect back tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.